Hello, welcome back to the Backcountry Show podcast. It feels good to be back to 100%. Last week I felt absolutely horrible. Definitely had the flu. Um, Last week we talked about Genesis 15 and how God reconfirmed the promise with Abram. This week we're going to dive into some Genesis 16. So if you can read Genesis 16 for me.
Yep. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to what Sarah said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarah, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarah said to Abram, "You are responsible for this wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." "Your slave is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarah mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road in Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress Sarah," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count." The angel of the Lord said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. He will live in hostility towards all his brothers." She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael.
So, Sarah had doubt that God was going to fulfill that promise of giving her a son. So she told Abram, her husband, to go sleep with her maidservant. And she was an Egyptian woman, so instead of trusting the Lord, Abram slept with Hagar. And, that kind of caused an issue where Sarah and Hagar got angry with each other, and jealousy seeped in, and anger, and what's another word we can use? Like
Bitterness, I
bitterness.
would say. Jealousy, I think, is the biggest one, though.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think Hagar kind of felt like she was greater than Sarah too. Like, oh, I'm better than you because I bore your husband's child. And in verses 10 and 12, God, or an angel of the Lord, appears to them and says, your descendants will be multiplied too. So, in a way, the descendants of Ishmael did also receive part of the promise, because we'll learn a little bit more about that in the next section, and we'll touch some more base on that here in a few minutes. I guess we can
17?
read 17, but read you can read the whole thing. It's not that long.
Okay. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and blameless. Then I will make my covenant between you and will greatly increase your numbers." Abram fell face down, and God said to him, "As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram, your name will be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come. to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you now reside as a foreigner, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you. I will be their God. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, for the generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you. Covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between you and me. The generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or brought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. Whether born in your household or brought with your money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God also said to Abraham, As for Sarah your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarah. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, Yes, for your wife Sarah will bear you a son. You will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household or brought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them, as God told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Abraham and his son Ishmael were both circumcised on that very day. Every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised with him.
Computer's dying. Oh no. We have time though. No, it's not plugged in, but that's okay. Oh, we have time. Hopefully. Let's see. Where are we at? It does not say. 11 minutes. Oh, no. 11 minutes. We'll be alright. We'll make it. So, yeah. Basically, God starts off, yet again, giving another promise saying that I will increase your numbers, I will increase your descendants. God tells Abram to be faithful to him in order to fulfill the covenant. The Lord then appears to Abram and changing his name to Abraham, meaning the father of many nations. God told Abram that from the family line there would be many peoples and kings through him and Ishmael. Then the Lord told Abram to circumcise Ishmael and himself. God then promises Abram and Sarah another child. God tells him to name the son Isaac. Now, the circumcision was another way for Abraham to show God his full commitment. Yeah, God needed proof that, not proof, I wouldn't say proof, but God wanted to see if Abraham would follow his command. And pretty much that's all we have for this episode. Next week will be a little bit different. It is the Christmas season, so there will be a special Christmas message. We're going to take a break from Genesis and take a break from learning the history of Israel and learning on all the stuff that we've been talking about the last few weeks. I'm gonna do a couple things a little bit different. So I hope to see you guys then. Hope that you guys enjoy this video, and hope to see you again on the next one. Have a good one, and Merry Early Christmas, and God bless.